all my passion and all my living, the world before me is laid bare. In all my passion and all my living, the world before me is laid bare. In all my passion and all my living, the world before me is laid bare. Cold, empty, and desolate, these steel walls barricade me inside. No. Is it still steel? I don't even know anymore. I can see the filth on the walls moving. I can't tell if it's the mold or the bugs. A filthy facility in the middle of nowhere. The walls used to be pristine, clean white, but they've been morphed and transformed into a twisted grey. Machinery and wiring surround every corner. Toxic puddles of piss and shit cover the floor. This facility holds something despicable, something hidden deep within, something that has been slumbering, festering. Rise.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. We hope your brief detention in the relaxation vault has been a pleasant one. Your specimen has been processed, and we are now ready to begin the test proper. Before we start, however, keep in mind that although fun and learning are the primary goals of all Enrichment Center activities, serious injuries may occur. For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from stand back. The portal will open in 3, 2, 1.
The robotic automaton serves as an instructor guiding newcomers through testing. The term Aperture Science was used in reference to this place. The name is most certainly appropriate, as being in here is like being stuck in some twisted scientist's little rat cage for their sick experiments. For now, the human known as Shell is being guided by the disconnected robotic voice known only as GLaDOS. A kind of wormhole has opened up, 2 different points in space as a single point in time, one orange and one blue, 2 interconnected links in between which no space exists. A mirror with no glass, an elevator with no travel time, a plane ride with no takeoff or landing, a portal. The concept known as a portal has been developed and materialized by Aperture Science, the uncontested future and the perfected concept of travel technology, instantaneous teleportation. Shell was slumbering in the chamber for who knows how long, only to be awoken by the restless automaton, restless but with a purpose. Shell has an objective, her objective as a lab rat.
Excellent. Please proceed into the chamber lock after completing each test.
A camera. Shell is being watched. Like any respectable science experiment, the controls must be controlled, along with dependence and independence. Keep in mind, there's only so many ways in which someone can press down a button using a cube. Simply put, this is a build-up to something more.
Please place the weighted storage cube on the 1500 megawatt Aperture Science heavy-duty super colliding super button.
A more detailed, varied demonstration of portal technology. Instead of the portals being static, it allows Shell to get more comfortable with more complex uses of the portals.
Perfect. Please move quickly to the chamber lock, as the effects of prolonged exposure to the button are not part of this test.
After becoming a bit more comfortable with the way the portals work and function, Shell gains access to her very own portal gun.
Very good. You are now in possession of the Aperture Science handheld portal device. With it, you can create your own portals. These intradimensional gates have proven to be completely safe. The device, however, has not. Do not touch the operational end of the device. Do not look directly at the operational end of the device. Do not submerge the device in liquid, even partially. Most importantly, under no circumstances should you...
The portal gun is clearly the next step in logical scientific innovation. Billionaires would happily give away an arm and a leg to simply have a chance of having a go at one. Firms would pay untold, limitless sums to get their hands on a prototype and incorporate it into their production line. Other scientific establishments would sacrifice everything else just to get their hands on the kind of research the Aperture has. The phrase, worth its weight in gold, would not only be inaccurate here, but would also be doing a disservice to the ingenious minds of Aperture, the kind of tool that they have created. The value of a portal gun would not be worth its weight in gold, but far, far more. Tenfold. No, 100-fold. They'd have to gather up every single piss brick and gold particle this side of the planet in order to simply match the price of the portal gun. The entire continent would need to be dug out.
The device has been modified so that it can now manufacture 2 linked portals at once. As part of an optional test protocol, we are pleased to present an amusing fact. The device is now more valuable than the organs and combined incomes of everyone in Subject Hometown here.
The portals feel like a wormhole, a mirror to another dimension. Or rather, a mirror to the very same dimension, only a different location. The portals have reached such levels of congruity and connection that peeking through one is essentially like looking through a window pane. To the point where if placed directly opposite each other, they do pretty much just behave like mirrors. The portals themselves have no properties to speak of. They just simply connect 2 different locations together. In other words, they do not affect things such as velocity of something going through it. In other words, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out.
Spectacular. You appear to understand how a portal affects forward momentum, or to be more precise, how it does not. Momentum, a function of mass and velocity, is conserved between portals. In layman's terms, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out.
Oh dear, it seems to have fallen. What is this, some kind of orbicular drop? Oh, fuck. Oh, come on. Fuck. Piss off. The test chambers start experimenting with the concept of speed and velocity. Again, a portal does not bear any effect on an object's velocity. Some of the test chambers utilize this as a solution to a puzzle. On multiple occasions, Shell has to utilize portals in order to not only maintain velocity, but also continuously increase it. This, when combined with proper portal placement, leads to moments in which Shell is soaring through the air at deadly speeds for significant stretches of time, to then gracefully land right at the intended exit. Or plant herself face first directly into a wall. The environment bears bizarre undertones and implications. The Aperture Science Enrichment Center is mostly comprised of muted colors such as whites, blacks, and greys. Areas which are not meant to be seen or are under construction typically use black or grey, and due to the way that the portal gun was engineered, portals themselves can only exist on white surfaces. Pretty much most, if not all, of the actual intended testing areas themselves are completely white. Not just because of the reasons mentioned before, but also because this is an extremely common color to use in typical laboratory environment. Depending on how you look at it, white is either color itself or the absence of color. The theory of the latter is applied in testing environments in the sense that everything else in front of it is much easier to see, and in the event of risks such as chemical spills or other sources of contamination, they can be observed much more easily. GLaDOS has a very specific and strange manner of speech, if you can call it speech. GLaDOS obviously doesn't have a larynx to speak of, or neurons to think of. What she does have, however, is kilowatts of power and countless lines of code. At first glance, she regurgitates classic corporate legal speak, but there's a hint of human irony in there. Is it possible for a robot to be sassy? It feels like she's taking the piss.
If you become lightheaded from thirst, feel free to pass out. The vital apparatus vent will deliver a weighted companion cube in 3, 2, 1. This weighted companion cube will accompany you through the test chamber. Please take care of it.
Shell has been given a companion cube to guide her along the way. The facility holds a large supply of the Aperture Science weighted storage cube, trademarked, which is basically a fancier, sponsored, shareholder-approved term for a big cube. The companion cube, however, is a weighted storage cube with a pretty little pink heart. GLaDOS also keeps attempting to reassure Shell that the cube is not, in fact, sentient or alive in any way.
The symptoms most commonly produced by enrichment center testing are superstition, perceiving inanimate objects as alive, and hallucinations. The enrichment center reminds you that the weighted companion cube will never threaten to stab you and, in fact, cannot speak.
One of the chambers holds a certain strange entity. A turret. A talking turret. A talking turret that speaks.
Due to mandatory scheduled maintenance, the appropriate chamber for this testing sequence is currently unavailable. It has been replaced with a live fire course designed for military androids. The Enrichment Center apologizes for the inconvenience and wishes you the best of luck.
Who are you?
They act as a disturbing middle ground of moral greyness, where they try to kill Shell, but they also seem to display some sort of sentience themselves.
Who's there? Help!
Well done, Android. The Enrichment Center once again reminds you that Android Hell is a real place where you will be sent at the first sign of defiance. You did it. The weighted companion cube certainly brought you good luck. However, it cannot accompany you for the rest of the test and, unfortunately, must be euthanized. Please escort your companion cube to the Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator.
Shell has been presented with a dilemma, with GLaDOS planting a little seed of doubt into your mind about the companion cube possibly being sentient. The only way to proceed forward is to throw the companion cube into the incinerator. What's being tested here is, essentially, the bare minimum requirements necessary for you to be able to feel sympathy for something else, an inanimate object, which is a friendly little symbol of a heart.
You euthanized your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test subject on record. Congratulations.
The final test chamber is slowly upcoming, which means an end to these nice little experiments, with a nice little cake at the end waiting as a reward.
Welcome to the final test. When you are done, you will drop the device in the Equipment Recovery Annex. Enrichment Center regulations require both hands to be empty before any cake.
This chamber is more challenging than the rest, requiring Shell to utilize proper portal placement, momentum, timing and quick thinking in order to beat it.
Congratulations. The test is now over. All Aperture technologies remain safely operational up to 4,000 degrees Kelvin. Rest assured that there is absolutely no chance of a dangerous equipment malfunction prior to your victory candescence. Thank you for participating in this Aperture Science computer-aided enrichment activity. Goodbye.
The platform that was seemingly leading to the exit is instead leading to a fiery demise. The cake is a lie.
What are you doing? Stop it. We are pleased that you made it through the final challenge where we pretended we were going to murder you. We are very, very happy for your success. We are throwing a party in honor of your tremendous success. Place the device on the ground, then lie on your stomach with your arms at your sides. A party associate will arrive shortly to collect you for your party. Make no further attempt to leave the testing area.
Mold, 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 mold. Shell has been forced to go through the hidden areas of the enrichment center in order to escape the automaton abomination. Even the padding on the elevators remind her of the material used in mental wards. All the weird speech patterns from earlier are now starting to make sense. GLaDOS was indeed parroting some corporate choice words and lines, but the sarcasm was most likely completely intentional. She's not just a robot. She seems to display a large degree of sentience. She presented herself as an overseer of sorts, but reality is different. Not to mention, Shell will have likely trusted GLaDOS, not just because she didn't have any other choice, but also because GLaDOS fulfilled the role of guide and guardian. In absence of human presence, an artificial intelligence is the next best thing. Being alone by itself is manageable, but being lonely can be unbearable. In those times, the human mind can become twisted and desperate. Inanimate objects can suddenly gain personalities. Voices start appearing where there are none. Shell needed help. Someone to act as the shining light in the dark tunnel. GLaDOS was the light. Not only that, but even through the seemingly emotionless voice of GLaDOS, the actual things being said might make you think that it's just simply a few harmless tests here and there. Nothing more, nothing less. She also promised cake at the end, so that's nice. The way that the AI of GLaDOS works is a bit strange, considering she's capable of sarcasm, but also seems to try and follow standard procedure to a certain extent. Aperture Science seems to not just do portal testing, but also, in a sense, morality testing. Being forced to incinerate the companion cube is an obvious example, where Shell had it destroyed in order to proceed. Otherwise, the exit door would simply remain closed. Morality applies here in the sense of seeing how quickly someone might choose to destroy the cube. Keyword: choose. A participant is presented with a Hobson's choice dilemma. Either you incinerate the companion cube, or you essentially doom yourself by trapping yourself here. The participant will clearly incinerate the cube every time, but what's being tested is the actual length of time it takes to incinerate the cube, not the choice itself, which will remain the same due to self-interest. Taking a long amount of time might act as an indicator for high levels of sympathy. As you feel guilty for the cube, taking a short amount of time might show that you only view it as an inanimate object, which is a tool, nothing more. GLaDOS even tries to play with her participants' emotions by constantly mentioning how the cube is unable to think or feel. In reality, it's clearly just an inanimate object, but the strange undertones and the time you spend with the cube, along with the friendly little heart drawn on it, might cause it to become personified in your head. Turrets are another example. How well are you able to sympathize with someone that's out to kill you? How about something? People that are on death row can often attract sympathy from people who believe that death is too extreme of an answer. Sometimes, no matter how bad the actions they may or may not have committed might be, are you able to forgive someone, no matter how severely they might have wronged you? It's almost impossible to feel the same kinds of mixed, complicated feelings that you might experience towards a human for something like an assault rifle. However, how would you feel if the assault rifle was able to speak? Not hallucinatory speech, where you imagining, but actual speech. What if the assault rifle expressed feelings of guilt, confusion, shame, and regret? Would you be able to feel sympathy for it then? Would you feel attached to it? Would you feel bad for destroying it? Do you feel good about hurting others? In this case, would you call it murder instead of destruction? If sentience is a separating factor between a human and a pig, to what degree of sentience would a pig have to display in order for it to be legal to kill it? Black Mesa. Aperture Science's direct competitor, with a nice little research facility located all the way out in the New Mexican desert. Thing is, they've been continuously undercutting Aperture at every turn imaginable. Aperture was supposed to win all the big and prestigious awards, but they essentially got stolen from them. The rug was pulled right out, and with over $10 billion annually, how is Aperture ever supposed to compete? No wonder this place was essentially abandoned. Key point of contention that Aperture must have felt was that Black Mesa was not bound by Government Performance and Results Act. In short, it would seem to suggest that Aperture was fighting a losing battle against Black Mesa from the very start. To not be bound by the act would imply that Black Mesa was either directly funded by, or at least owned by the US government. They could experiment and invest with no fear, because no matter what, at the end of the day, Uncle Sam would be able to swoop in and save them with a nice little bailout. The pure frustration that the people at Aperture must have felt is almost palpable through the slideshow presentation. You can feel the resentment through the very words themselves. They're not really supposed to show that they're upset, but you're still able to feel it through the way charts and graphs are presented to show how Aperture's precious medals of valor were stolen, and through the way the word "not" is not only in bold, but also underlined to emphasize the Black Mesa is backed by the government. Meanwhile, Aperture Science is fighting for survival. How are you supposed to compete with Black Mesa? Genuinely, how? Well, to put it simply, you cannot. It's unknown how true this slideshow that was most likely shown to shareholders truly was, considering that Aperture has a good reason to twist the truth and lie, but when you consider all the factors, it is very likely that it has a strong basis in reality. Approaching the chamber of GLaDOS, a rocket turret appears, similar to a normal turret, except they have the ability to fire off a rocket. No shit. If Shell has moral qualms about destroying rocket turrets, she doesn't have to worry, as she can't destroy them. Not only that, but they also display little to no sentience and are actively trying to kill Shell. The whole of Aperture Science is the idea of an American corporation taken to the farthest extreme possible, to the point where it acts as satire on the concept as a whole, being borderline Kafkaesque at the best of times. There's a very specific type of irony in GLaDOS describing fun and learning as being one of the primary objectives in what is essentially a research facility meant for human subjects. Not to mention, just a few minutes later, half a dozen ways of Shell to possibly die are introduced. GLaDOS even mentions that an emancipation grid has a tendency to destroy teeth and tooth-like material.
Please be advised that a noticeable taste of blood is not part of any test protocol, but is an unintended side effect of the Aperture Science Material Emancipation Grill, which may, in semi-rare cases, emancipate dental fillings, crowns, tooth enamel, and teeth.
While GLaDOS is technically a name, it is, to be more accurate, an acronym. The genetic life form and disk operating system was created as a way to run and oversee the facility indefinitely. The best of both worlds, human intelligence within an eternal automaton, a being with no flaws, a being with a seemingly unlimited combined rationale of both man and machine. GLaDOS was conceptualized from the concept of human greed for more, human greed for something better. Having a respected multi-billion-dollar company is not enough. You also need a ruler to surpass all rulers. No, that's not enough. That's not good enough. You need a ruler that is able to transform the concept of rule entirely. No longer will the rules be decided by petty governments and politicians. Science cannot afford to take a backseat on such a matter. Aperture shall create its own rules, and the only thing capable of such a thing is someone who has no expiration date. Aperture needed some form of insurance that long after everyone and everything is gone, that the abomination of flesh and steel would still be running things as intended, that after their demise, experiments would still be run and science would still be done. Only their demise came about from the very creature that they created. GLaDOS has a very specific and very odd fascination with neurotoxin. Pretty much instantly after being activated, GLaDOS released a deadly neurotoxin in which scientists were being suffocated alive. Prior to her activation, a morality core was installed onto GLaDOS to hopefully prevent her from murdering everyone. As it turns out, you can always ignore your conscience. Doug Ratman was the only known survivor of the neurotoxin attack. He spent days, if not weeks, dodging and weaving the facility's hazards whilst actively being hunted down by GLaDOS. The madness slowly consuming, he breathes in the foul air. Paranoia and schizophrenia have taken over. He's carrying around a little companion cube that is supposedly capable of speech, when in reality, he knows full well that he's just simply hallucinating. He should think, no, he has to think of a solution. He must. The Aperture Science Facility holds a variety of different cryopods in which subjects are placed in stasis, frozen perfectly in time. With a quick edit of the database, Shell's cryopod was placed at the very top of the priority list. It was still active. Doug himself cannot be observed by Shell at any point. She doesn't even know he exists. However, his hideout spots from GLaDOS can be seen multiple times. Makeshift beds made from crumpled bits of cardboard, jugs they probably used to piss in, and countless mad ramblings etched into the wall. The Ratman has created his very own den. He can feel GLaDOS watching and observing the facility constantly, her palpable presence permeating the very air itself. Countless cameras he has to avoid lest he's killed. He started to idolize the companion cube. It's almost like a guardian angel protecting him no matter what. It's a constant. When no one else is looking out for him, the cube makes him feel safe, because he knows that in reality, it's quite literally incapable of harm. It can only serve to protect and help him emotionally. That much is shown through the halo and angelic wings that he has depicted it with in his drawings. He's written the cake is a lie on repeat constantly. He's likely been observing Shell, and whilst listening to the empty promises of cake at the end of testing, he knows full well that it's complete and utter fabrication by GLaDOS. With similar language being used by GLaDOS earlier, Doug's existence has essentially been turned to totalitarian hellscape. The very thing that he helped to create in order to look over and protect the facility is now actively hunting him down and trying to kill him. He's being watched like a rat in a cage in some demented little science experiment. He switched roles from being the one doing the testing to being the one that is being tested on. The complete absence of familiarity has absolutely ruined him. Without escape, Doug has not seen any kind of nature in a while. No trees, no fauna, and no fresh air. At that point, a stroll through the park might seem like a far-off hallucination, an impossible paradise which simply cannot be achieved. The brain would start to deteriorate, and thought patterns would start to decompose. There she is, GLaDOS herself, just a few steps away. She resides in the central AI chamber, which stands right at the end of this corridor.
Well, you found me. Congratulations. Was it worth it? Because despite your violent behavior, the only thing you've managed to break so far is my heart. Maybe you could settle for that and we'll just call it a day. I guess we both know that isn't going to happen. You chose this path. Now I have a surprise for you. Deploying surprise in 5, 4... Time out for a second. That wasn't supposed to happen. Do you see that thing that fell out of me? What is that? It's not the surprise. I've never seen it before. Never mind, it's a mystery I'll solve later. By myself. Because you'll be dead.
The sphere has fallen off of the main body of GLaDOS. It does not speak, it simply looks around.
I don't want to tell you your business, but if it were me, I'd leave that thing alone. You're kidding me. Did you just set that Aperture Science thing, we don't know what it does, into an Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator? That has got to be the dumbest thing that... Whoa. Good news. I figured out what that thing you just incinerated did. It was a morality core they installed after I flooded the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin to make me stop flooding the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin. So get comfortable while I warm up the neurotoxin emitters.
That was the morality core. The single thing keeping GLaDOS back, restrained. The very same morality code that Doug Ratman tried warning the other scientists about it not being enough to stop her. She looms over Shell, an impossible giant in the face of a mere bug. She stares Shell down, some kind of lower level fuckhead.
Things have changed since the last time you left the building. What's going on out there will make you wish you were back in here. I have an infinite capacity for knowledge, and even I'm not sure what's going on outside. All I know is I'm the only thing standing between us and them.
All these different spheres with different personalities were attached to her to intrude in her thoughts, to stop her from being able to think. They were supposed to overload her, like chains and shackles and restraints. GLaDOS summons in rocket turrets, but Shell uses them to her advantage by redirecting the rockets back at GLaDOS with the portal gun. As more and more cores get destroyed, GLaDOS grows increasingly more annoyed.
Believe me, you're dead. I just struck you from the permanent record.
Your entire life has been a mathematical error.
A mathematical error I'm about to correct.
Thank you for assuming the Putty escort submission position.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive. I'm not even angry. I'm being so sincere right now. Even though you broke my heart and killed me and tore me to pieces and threw every piece into a fire. As they burned, it hurt because I was so happy for you. Now these points of data make a beautiful line, and we're out of data, we're releasing on time. So I'm glad I got burned. Think of all the things we learned for the people who are still alive. Go ahead and leave me. Lisa. That was a joke, haha, that chance. Anyway, this cake is great, it's so delicious and moist. Look at me still talking when there's science to do. When I look up there, it makes me glad I'm not you. I've experiments to run, there is research to be done on the people who are still alive. And believe me, I am still alive. I'm doing science and I'm still alive.